Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dive into manifestation, but not as some kind of vague, wishy-washy idea. We're going to treat it as a real, practical tool you can use to create some powerful changes in your life. So let's get right into it.
You know that feeling, right? Where it seems like you're just stuck on a treadmill, running as fast as you can, but you're not actually going anywhere. Meanwhile, other people just seem to breeze past you. It's beyond frustrating. But what if the problem isn't that you need more effort, but a totally different kind of effort?
And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. The biggest, most meaningful changes in our lives, the ones we see on the outside, they almost never happen until we first change what's going on inside. So let's kick things off with this first big idea. Your world is basically a giant mirror. It's just reflecting back what you're holding on the inside. And to really get what that means, I want to tell you a really powerful story.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You feel completely and utterly defeated. You've given up, and you're trying to make your way through a packed, chaotic train platform in some huge city. You're just trying to survive the day, feeling like the entire world is just stacked against you. In all that chaos, someone rushing for a train literally kicks them and they just fall, right there on the ground. They're hurt, they're embarrassed, they're at their absolute lowest point. And as they get up and try to brush themselves off, they see this little grimy piece of trash stuck to their shoe. And in that moment of total despair, those two words just changed everything. It was like a light switch flipped on, a sudden, massive realization that how they saw the world was just as real as the world itself. You see, this moment is a perfect example of a really ancient principle. It's not about the vision you see with your physical eyes, the crowded platform, the fall. It's about the vision you hold for yourself deep down inside. That is what's actually creating your reality. So, okay, if your world is a mirror, how in the world do you change the reflection? Well, that's exactly what this next section is all about. We're going to talk about rewriting your inner script. Now, this is so important to get. Just wishing for more money isn't going to do much if your deep core belief is, I never have enough. That inner script, that story of lack, is just going to keep playing out in your life. The truth is, you get what you are, not just what you say you want. Think of it this way. Maybe all you have right now is one tiny mango seed of belief. Just a small feeling that things could be different. It might feel tiny, maybe even insignificant compared to everything else going on. But if you plant that one seed and you give it consistent focus and energy, it will grow into a tree that gives you tons of mangoes. It all starts with that single seed of possibility. Some people call this acting as if. And look, it's not about being phony. It's about practicing the thoughts and feelings of the person you're choosing to become. You mentally rehearse your new reality. You tell yourself that new story over and over, because repetition is literally how you build a new belief. And that leads us perfectly into what is, without a doubt, the most critical part of this entire process: consistency. Because this isn't some magic trick, it's a practice. So many people try something like this for a few days, they don't see a miracle overnight, and they just go, see, it doesn't work. But real, lasting transformation is never a quick fix. It's the sum total of all the small, daily promises you keep to yourself. So what does being consistent even look like? Well, it's about consistently generating the feeling of what you want. It's about consistently redirecting your thoughts when they start to wander back to the old negative patterns. And it's taking small, inspired actions that line up with that new state. When you consistently show up for yourself like this, you're sending a crystal clear signal that you mean business. All right, this next part is really interesting because at first it seems like a total contradiction, but I promise you it is absolutely essential. We have to learn the art of letting go. Holding on to old baggage, past hurts, or being obsessed with how things have to turn out, it's like having a splinter. It's just this constant, low-level source of pain and irritation. Yeah, pulling it out might sting for a second, but it's the only way you can actually heal. The only other option is to just let it fester. And we have to be super clear on the difference here. Giving up is quitting. It's throwing in the towel. Letting go, though, that's an act of faith. It's releasing your death grip on exactly how and when things are supposed to happen, and instead just trusting that the inner work you've been doing is enough. Okay, so you get the big ideas. Now let's get practical. Let's give you a few simple but really powerful tools that you can start using literally today. First up, I am affirmations.
Now, the magic here is that these aren't wishes, like I want to be confident. No, they are declarations of who you are right now. When you say I am confident, you are actively rewiring your subconscious mind to accept that as your truth. Next, we have visualization. Here's a cool thing about your brain. Your subconscious mind honestly doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagined and something that's actually happened. So when you mentally rehearse your goal and you really feel the emotions of having it, you are building the blueprint to draw that experience right to you. And finally, here's a really interesting one, the water technique. It's based on this idea that water can actually hold and carry intention. Now, I know the science on this is still up for debate, but the psychological power here is using a physical act, like drinking a glass of water, to consciously and repeatedly fill your entire body with your new intention. But a really important note on this one. This technique works wonders for personal states of being, like health, feeling abundant, career success. But it's really best to avoid using it to try and manifest a specific person. Why? Because that can get you into a state of obsession and desperation really fast, which, as you know, is the exact opposite energy we're going for. And that brings us right back to where we started. The whole journey, all the tools, all the ideas, they all boil down to this one simple truth. The goal isn't just to get the thing, it's to become the person who has that thing naturally. The inner work is always the real work. This isn't about what you're going to do tomorrow or next week or next year. Your power is always right here in this moment. It all kicks off with one simple choice. So really, the only question left is this: who are you choosing to become, starting right now?